Look how pink, so pretty. Pretty. I had the craziest dream last night.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a book that I feel like we don't talk about enough, and it's known as a cult classic, but I honestly haven't seen any book talk videos about it, or even on YouTube. It might be talked about, but I just haven't seen it. And that is The Princess of 72nd Street by Elaine Craft. I am absolutely in love with this cover. It's so beautiful. The picture is from David Atty, Milena Craft London, I don't know, but I love it so much. Elaine's Craft, The Princess of 72nd Street. It's a dazzling, disorienting, and very deeply feminist novel that almost feels like a cousin to My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh, and also The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. It's one of those books where it doesn't just explore madness, it celebrates it and questions every boundary that makes us consider what is actually sanity. It is set in the 70s in New York, which I honestly love. Any book that is set in New York, I just think it creates like something in the air. In this book, we follow Ellen, who's a single artist who is currently experiencing very intense psychological episodes, which she actually calls radiances, which I thought was very interesting. During her episodes or radiances, she becomes Princess Esmeralda, and she is the ruler of her imagined kingdom in her streets, literally. What I thought was very similar to, I guess, The Bell Jar and also My Year of Rest and Relaxation is that it almost looks at these psychological breakdowns as breakthroughs instead of a break. They're kind of described as these moments of creative breakthroughs, of extreme presence, transcendence, and liberation. However, the people around her, or the world around her, especially the men that she finds in her life, see these radiances, these psychological breakdowns, as threats. The novel's fragmented and poetic prose kind of in a way mirrors Ellen's world that is kind of fragmented and she can't recall a lot of it. It puts in the middle a woman, just like Ottessa Moshfegh and Plath, a woman that is going through something that is rejecting societal norms and in a way seeks refuge in altered states of being. I think it deeply resonated with Ottessa Moshfegh's writing as well, because both of them follow women that in a way want to retreat from the world, and they're both in search of they're both in search of something that is more pure, more strange, more honest than what society currently offers. And I can kind of see Plath in her writing as well, in the way that Elaine Craft's lyrical and poetic prose has kind of like a almost confessional tone that I really relate to Sylvia Plath, with her deeply exploration of mental illness, of identity, of our place in the world. It's like a constant haunting introspection. We can see elements of Elaine Craft. I think there's a picture here. There she is, the queen in all her glory. We can see a lot of her life in explored in the book as well. I'm not sure this is autobiographical, but she was also a painter based in New York. Obviously, she was an author. She wrote short stories, she wrote novels. She was known at the time for her experimental type of writing and her avant-garde kind of ideas, as well as her fearless female exploration, which I feel like it really gives it like a deep feminist point of view. Other works of hers that I have on my TBR include I Am Clarence, The House of Madeleine, and Find Him. Last one, Find Him, is described as a brilliant spatial meditation of the abstract machine of femininity. Craft was awarded 2 nominations of the National Endowment for the Arts, a fellowship at the Bread Loaf Writers Conference, and a residency at Yaddo. Despite being critically acclaimed and having all this fame, she kind of throughout the time fell into obscurity through decades, and only recently being rediscovered and celebrated as a feminist cult classic, which I am obsessed with. It feels that this book is not just meant to be just read, it feels like a long meditation. It is messy, it is radiant, and it is utterly original. I honestly have never read anything like this before. If you loved the dreamy nihilism of Moshfegh and the raw vulnerability of Plath, this novel is going to speak to you in amazing ways. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this book, which it just makes me really sad that not a lot of people know about it, honestly, it's that it was actually funny. I know that My Year of Rest and Relaxation, a lot of people find the main character very unlikable, but that's kind of what makes her funny. So a lot of people enjoyed the book because of that. And this is the same, but like 100 times more. When I tell you, I actually laughed out loud in a lot of the passages of the book. I'm being serious. I don't think I've ever like had to put the book down and laughed out loud. Some of the passages are extremely funny, which is weird because we're talking about mental health. We're talking about a very serious mental illness, and a lot of bad things happen to her. But because it's written in this kind of like light way, it's just funny. It's just, very funny. I'm definitely gonna check out the other books of Elaine Craft, but I also wanted to include some of my favorite parts of the book or some of my favorite quotes just to fully make you pick up this book next, because this is another, and this is going to be one of my favorite authors from now on. I'm just so excited to read more of her books. But let's look at the quotes so I can convince you even more to pick up this book. Okay, let's make a start with my favorite quotes of this book. So this is the start of the book, and she starts with, "I am glad I have the radiance. This time I am wiser." And then here at the bottom, the realization of who I am comes back to me. Not the radiance. You see, the two don't always go together. I am the princess of 72nd Street. This is a fact, something I know deep inside, but only mentioned during my first and second radiance. It feels like she almost feels like herself when she's in this breakdown kind of state. I really like this part where she talks about how she thinks that people that say that they really enjoy living in the countryside are arrogant just because they live a life around life and birds and green grass. I don't know why, but I thought that was hilarious. She also doesn't understand why people swim in pools. Also, I get that. It's kind of like she also confuses her states of radiance and having a mental breakdown with grace. You can see here, after my last Caesar, or state of grace. Like, we're talking about someone that thinks they're the their best version when they're going through that. And she actually names the radiances, or these breakdowns that she's having. So we're reading about radiance number 7, and they can last for weeks. This is just odd. I have often thought it would be a good life to be sitting and thinking inside the belly of a whale. Why is that such a mood? I don't know, honestly. She also compares humans eating in restaurants with having what that says, which never heard of that before. And this one actually made me laugh out loud. It says, "I was going through a cycle of acute materialism. I have this periodically thinking of husbands with houses, incomes, and the remote possibility of permanence and care. It is this side of me that poor Oriel I could not see or even understand. I have often kept it a secret. In fact, needing care is something you must keep carefully hidden for men so they don't panic and run. Oh my god, she is that girl. She gets it. There's this quote as well. I always feared that your enormous weight would smother me someday. I was reading this in a coffee shop actually when I was reading this page, and it just made me stop and look around. So yeah, those were some of the quotes that made me go, oh my god, this is crazy. This is one of my favorite books now. And like it says here, one of literature's hidden gems demands a place on your bookshelf right next to Sylvia Plath. And I couldn't agree more. This book honestly feels like Sylvia Plath on LSD.